How to win in multiple offer situations guaranteed with this foolproof strategy and these 5 techniques. Hey guys, my name is Jay Lehman. I'm a realtor here in Central Illinois with eXp Realty, and I help homeowners and investors buy their dream properties to create wealth through real estate every day of the week. And I want to break down how you actually win in a multiple offer situation. Many people have no clue that there's way more than just price. Yes, you want to have the highest and best price that you can offer, but there are other items as well that may be just important to the seller. So the first thing is this: seek first to understand and then be understood. If you don't understand exactly what the seller wants when you're offering on the property, then you're gonna be at a disadvantage. So as an agent, I always go to the selling agent and I say, hey, tell me what is most important to your seller. Is it the closing date? Is it an as-is purchase? Is it the price? You'd be surprised. It's not always the price. It's a factor, but not the only factor. In fact, there are 5 factors that you have to consider when doing a multiple offer situation so that you can ensure that your client or that you will win the property that you're looking for. And this goes for being a home or an investment that you're gonna have tenants live in, all right? So the first one is, of course, price. You need to have a very aggressive price. And I like to use something called an escalation clause. An escalation clause is something like this. Hi, I'd like to offer, let's say the property's listed at $200,000, and you know that there's multiple offers within 2 or 3 days on that property. Well, you're pretty sure that those are at asking or above asking if you're in the Central Illinois market. So what I like to do is I like to use an escalation clause because the agent won't tell you, the selling agent won't tell you how those offers look or what are the details of those offers or what price there are. So a lot of times I like to say, hey, we'd like to give an offer of $205,000, $5,000 over asking, but also an escalation clause of $1,000 over any written offer up to, let's just say, $220,000, something like that, so that if someone else has an offer of, $216,000, ours would go to $217,000 and we would beat that offer out. If somebody goes up to $222,000, we would only go up to $220,000, so the buyer is protected a little bit and is just not going to pay some crazy amount, right? So those are different things that you have to think about, and I like to use an escalation clause to leapfrog other offers. Number 2, and people don't think about this a lot, is earnest money. You can put down a larger chunk of earnest money. Now, earnest money, also known as good faith money, is what you put down at the initial part of the contract being signed. It goes towards your down payment. And in this market, it's about 1% of purchase price. So on a $200,000 house, it's about $2,000. But it's not uncommon for me to suggest to put 3 to 5% down in earnest money. That'd be $6,000 to $10,000 to show that you're more serious. Also, you can make earnest money non-refundable, meaning that if you get in on this deal and you back out, you lose that earnest money. That can be a strong incentive for the seller to actually take your offer. Number 3, no inspection. That's right, waiving the inspection can be huge. Remember, the seller is concerned about the deal closing and not getting nickel and dime from the time you get under contract to closing. So many nickel and dime actions happen when buyers walk through a property and want this piece of siding fixed and this leaky sink fixed and this doorknob screwed on tighter. Now, there are legitimate issues that can go wrong in a house, but if you feel confident about the house and can waive the inspection, that makes your offer way stronger. Number 4 is the appraisal gap. That's right, sometimes we get in multiple offer situations, we're gonna get that house up to a level where we're gonna have questions on whether that can appraise out or not for an appraiser if you're using a loan. Now, if you're using a cash, this is an issue. Remember, cash is king in real estate when it comes to buying, but when you're using a loan, you want to help the seller's mind be at ease that even if it doesn't appraise out at, let's say, $220,000, that you'll make up the difference. So a lot of times we'll do an appraisal gap that makes up the difference between the original list price at $200,000 to $220,000 that we bought it at. And the appraisal gap says this, hey, if this appraises out below 220, we will make up the difference up to $20,000. So if it appraises out at $205,000, the buyer would have to bring another $15,000 to make sure that that property closes, because the bank's only going to lend on the appraised value. And so when you have a property that doesn't appraise out, many times in a normal negotiation, the seller and the buyer have to negotiate a new price for that property because the bank is only going to lend on the appraised value, which is lower than the purchase price. But with an appraisal gap, that helps the seller be ensured that even if this appraises lower than 220, I'm actually going to get all my money. So if it appraises out at 210, you're gonna have to bring another $10,000 to close as a buyer. But if you really want the house or the apartment, it may be worth it. And then number 5 is the ideal closing date for the sellers. Listen, people's lives are busy and there's so many other inconveniences in life. What they really want is to be sure that on this date, I can move out, but before then, I can have access to the house and I can actually live here and do stuff, and it gives me time to actually move. So I always ask the selling agent, what is the ideal closing date? Sometimes I'll say, hey, we're willing to close fast and we'll even rent back the property to you where you can live in it for a couple months just so you can have the flexibility that you need and the money you need to go buy your other house. The more flexible you can be as a buyer and be strong in all of these things, price, earnest money, inspections, appraisal gap, and of course, closing date, you will give yourself the best chance to either get the home of your dreams or the investment property you've been searching for all this time. And it's so important that you use an agent that knows how to maximize these 5 strategies to help you get the property that you've been looking for and that you've been wanting to invest in. And I'm that guy here in Central Illinois. I help homeowners and investors from in-state, out-of-state, local, not local, find the properties they're looking for. And if you're looking for help, would you like, you subscribe, would you comment below? And I look forward to hearing from you and helping you build wealth through homeownership and real estate investing.